You're watching America Trends. I'm Burt Godwin, and our next guest, she is an absolute dynamo in the business world, so accomplished, so many things under her belt. She's a business and PR strategist. She runs the Pitch Club. She's a TEDx speaker, top-ranked podcast host, two-time best-selling author, and overall amazing woman. I love to follow her on social media, and she sent me the best gift lately. I've got to thank her. Rebecca Cafiero, welcome back to America Trends. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Mary. It is always wonderful to be here. Your audience is my favorite. Don't tell anyone.
They are the best. They are the best. And I just have to say thank you before we get started. I know I messaged you on DM, but I want to say that I really think that, following up with somebody is always a great thing, and I try to do that. And you have been on the show a couple times, and, you sent a care package to me, and it was perfect gift for me. I don't know how much you know about me, but I'm a mom of two kids, and it was this darling little cooler that I can take to the beach. And it's not the ugly kind of igloo cooler. Sorry, no offense, igloo, but it just has some style to it. And I was like, this woman, it was some other products in it, bath products. And I just was like, that woman is really great at what she does. Not only do you, do great things with your life, and then you follow up with people, which is a great tip, I think, for our audience at home.
I mean, we're going to be talking about that today, but I would say that, client retention is really important. And yes, people love gifts. They love handwritten cards. So I'll just give a little tip of how I did that is anybody that has a social media account, you can typically find out what they're about, what their hobbies are, what are important to them. And that was Box Fox, which is a female-owned company. And you can personalize gifts for anyone that you want to send one to. So I'm so glad you appreciated it.
That's companies like that are great. And I know there's also things like Spoonful of Comfort is another website that you can kind of personalize what kind of gift you want it to get well. Or I know someone who's had her husband was diagnosed recently with cancer. So, what's it called? Box Fox?
Box Fox.
We should look at having them on the show too, because that sounds like it's a female-owned company, huh?
I'm all about supporting the female-owned companies.
And what you mentioned too is a handwritten note goes a long way as well. And I think that it could be a dying thing because, everyone goes to email or text messages, but I think that's even more why the handwritten note means so much now, because you get it and you really know that person took the time to buy the card, write it out, get a stamp. I mean, nobody. And my daughter just did something recently, and I said we should write handwritten thank you notes to the directors of the program. And she's like, "Can we just email them?" I said, "No, you gotta send the handwritten note." So that's our number one tip.
We're in such a fast-moving world, and I was just on a call with one of a consultant I'm working with, and she's like, "I got your card in the mail," and she took the time because it touched her day. And again, we're going to be talking about going back to basics because often those strategies that set us apart in business are not expensive or time-consuming.
Well, actually, let's dive right into that because, getting back to basics, I know in this time right now, business is scary. The market is scary. Times are, people are freaking out a little bit, right? Business owners particularly, and people maybe that have just started a business, and inflation and all the things are kind of freaking everybody out. So what are some of your tips for people that might be, freaking out in this climate?
Well, and like you said, it is scary. And the only thing that's scarier than the idea of a recession coming is actually being in it. So what often happens is business owners look for like the bright, shiny object, right? To give their business a cash injection, more clients. But the reality is when we're in times of economic uncertainty, when the economy is looking like it's going down, what we really need to do is go back to basics. Yes, TikTok is fun and it's got cool things, but that doesn't mean that there's like one new thing or one new algorithm that's going to solve all our problems. It's often the answer is it's not very sexy, that is actually really effective. And other things can be a waste of time, energy, and money when we don't have time, energy, and money. So Let's dig in. I think the first tip is to really look at your metrics, right? In a booming economy, people can do well incidentally, right? They not even on purpose. And so looking at metrics, especially those that relate to income, really helps you differentiate between busy work versus income producing activities. And once you're really clear on like what are the things that I'm doing in my business that actually create income, that actually move the bottom line needle, is small tweaks or strategic increases in effort can create really significant results. But if you don't know your metrics or your KPIs, which are key performance indicators, you can make changes that negatively affect your business. And I want to give one example, and I'm going to rattle through some numbers, Mary, and I want you to just guess, and I'll share the answer with you on how much these changes can affect a business from a percentage standpoint. So these are all little. If you can increase your outbound lead efforts, now that's going to depend on if you're a product-based business or service-based, by 20%. That's probably one of the things we have the most control over, is bringing in new prospective clients. If you can increase the amount of conversations you're having with potential clients by 3%, if you can set 7% more appointments, which you can do with things like a clearer call to action, less friction in your customer funnel. If you can increase appointment show-ups, for those of you that are selling something that requires an appointment or a consultation, if you can increase that by 10% just by setting reminders to make sure you're not getting no-shows, increasing prospects retained as clients by 3%, and then revenue with upsells by 5%, have an idea of how much growth that creates with all those little numbers.
I don't know. 6%.
92% of cumulative growth.
I didn't do math. I'm not good at math.
I mean, honestly, neither did I.
No,
I'm
that's incredible.
But, it is. And so it's those little tiny tweaks that make a huge return.
And so you would have to do all of those things at one time. So let's go to some of those little keys that you were saying about. So let's go to that first one that you mentioned. And now I can't remember what it was.
Yes, like lead effort. So the idea is just, if you're not tracking the metrics, then you're not going to know what is and isn't working, right? And so you won't know what to step up. So, everyone thinks about making these huge shifts when it might be something really small. So let's just take client experience, for example, right? The client experience. So we were talking about the gift box earlier, those handwritten cards. Like, are you writing handwritten cards to your clients? Are you focusing on customer appreciation? And again, in a bull market, it's easy to just open the gates, and let them come in. But taking that little time makes such a difference, because when you have happy clients, you're going to have higher retention, less churn, less chargebacks. You're going to have more repeat business. And one of my favorite things to talk about is incredible referrals.
I love that. I want to talk about referrals, but going back to what we were saying, let's say with the box Fox and the handwritten cards, it seems kind of overwhelming, but if you do a little bit of an investment of, go to Target, they have bulk thank you cards, or even the blank cards, get yourself some blank cards, and then have a relationship with a company like a Box Fox that you have everything already stored in there, probably, right? You have your credit card information stored. You can even keep a list in some of those. I know there's Alan's florist here that, there's an address book that you can store your favorite addresses. So it kind of makes it easy, and you just do it right after the client leaves, right?
100%. And I'm seeing with some of my clients that are doing this already, like they're being preventative instead of reactive. And one of them, they're a consumer product good company. They do health products that are a subscription-based model. And they went away from using, the big servicing clients that just ship the boxes out. And they brought it in-house, and they started doing those, little custom thank yous. And they have seen a huge jump in not only the retention month to month, but also the order spend from clients, because they're like, wow, this blew me away. And again, it didn't really cost them much more money or much more time, but they're seeing it increase the bottom line.
Oh, these are little great tips I think are really important. And we had somebody on earlier this week that was talking about social media insights and metrics. And it's really important to look at those metrics and insights on all levels. And social media is one of the things. You mentioned TikTok, and you're right, people don't need to be making silly TikTok videos right now, unless it's really relevant to their brand, in which case they do. But there's a lot, that's fluff for a lot, right?
Absolutely. And I can actually share a social media tip that it really doesn't matter what size business you are. So, if you're on Instagram, yes, it's great if, a client tags you or engages with your business account and you reshare or you like it. But I want you to think about the idea of like leaving a voice message. This is something that I do in my business, is leaving a 7 to 12 second voice message, especially if you're a business where you as the business owner are the brand, right? If you are kind of facing forward as a founder. that will create a customer for life. And it takes you a few minutes. If you budget in 5 to 10 minutes to do engagement that they can tell isn't, done by a social media manager or a VA or a bot, I mean, that is going to show them that you really care. And again, it costs you nothing but a few minutes of time.
Wow, that's genius, because you're right. I sometimes will get a DM or a card or something and I think, oh, the assistant wrote that, or which is fine too, because it's still the thought that counts. But if it's your own voice, and I know, you left me a voicemail message, it's not a voicemail, it's an actual voice memo, right?
Exactly.
You can use it on text message, or you can do it right in DM on, I think, on Facebook, and I know on Instagram, right?
You can. And in LinkedIn, which is, the #1 business-to-business platform, the ironic thing is you can't leave voice memos through the desktop, but I was utilizing LinkedIn the other day, and you can use it through the phone app. So imagine business-to-business platform, some of the highest income if you're doing business on LinkedIn, and you can reach out and really touch people person to person. Because again, people do business with people.
I'm going to have you put a pin in that because I've got lots more questions. We got to take a break though. So people can find you at RebeccaCafiero.com and on LinkedIn at Rebecca Cafiero, and also Instagram as well. There she is right there. And everyone stick around because we've got more questions for Rebecca right after this quick break.